Welcome to Your Voice, Women's Rights in the Workplace. My name is Deborah O'Rell and I'm your host. I am Director of Client Services for a women's rights in the workplace law firm. And as an extension, we are creating this webcast where I will be interviewing trailblazing women who draw on their experiences and use their voice to enhance women's rights and opportunities in the workplace. And so that can cover a wide range of topics. So today, if you are interested in a career change, if you are contemplating a career change, having a solid resume and making a right first impression is absolutely critical. And this was the one topic I said, we have to cover this. So today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with Kelley Joyce, who is a certified professional coach. Kelley has counseled executives at Fortune 500 companies and high-profile startups, providing pragmatic and strategic guidance designed to elevate their careers. Kelley is a certified professional coach as well as a recovery coach who draws on nearly 20 years of experience working as a senior executive of global technology public relations agencies to help women find and secure their dream jobs. If you would like to learn more about Kelley and the work she does, I invite you to visit thetruthatwork.com. Please join me in welcoming Kelley. Hi.
Hi, Deborah. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for making time because I do believe I hire people for our law firm. So I am, as many are, very aware of how important a resume is, the cover letter, the statement, that kind of a thing. So to just back up a little bit before we get into that part of it, because this is about transformational women sharing their experiences, please share a little bit about your decision to become a coach and start your business.
Sure. Happy to do that. Yeah, my journey to become a coach actually happened because of receiving coaching. I had been really super stuck mid-career in my PR career. It was, the late 90s. This is how long ago it was. And I had moved up and up and up, and I got to a mid-level role, and I was stuck in it for 4 years. I was so frustrated. And I actually hired a coach. I'd never heard of coaching before. I mean, that was radical. I mean, this is, 2000, no one knew what that was. And hired someone, and she helped me get there. And I had so much gratitude for that. I've never forgotten it. From there, I went on another 10 years in PR. And as I went up the ladder, and was at the top, what I saw was actually a lot of misery in the workplace. And it started impacting myself as well, my own career. And I just wanted to solve that problem. I wanted to really say, how can we make this a better place? We all need to do something, right? We need to support ourselves. And even people who don't need to support themselves want to work, like they want purpose, right?
Yeah.
Is, to help people. And it just made more sense. It was part of my strength, and I wanted to be that person. So Here I am.
There you go. It's interesting for all, I'm a coach too, not in a business, but it's just interesting how coaches discovered coaching and you just, you become like an evangelist for it. And I too, when you train, why do you need a personal trainer? Because you can't really do it yourself.
Yeah.
I decided to run a marathon at one point. I hired a marathon trainer. A coach can help expand what you know. So thank you for sharing your story. I am always interested in those. So as women begin to focus on their dream jobs, what should they start with? What's the important thing to start with?
Yeah. So the important thing to start with is actually not a thing. It's actually themselves, right? It's actually saying, why am I doing this? What's the whole point? Women tend to spend more time thinking about the external, oh, what can I get and what's out there for me and what are other people doing? And it's really more about getting centered around what do I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds a little bit like, well, that's not doing, much, Kelley. And it really is everything.
Yeah.
Is, if you've got to be real serious with yourself, don't kid yourself and say, what is it that I really want? And that's step one before you even, get out there.
Right. And so what would you recommend as first steps to make that first right impression, which obviously usually starts with the resume? So take it from there.
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
So for the best impression, it really is about knowing your value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people just go in and say, it's almost like, well, if they have it, then it's great. And then I'll just go after it. And then they try to fit in and actually sometimes downplay. I mean, the number one mistake that I see with resumes is under articulation, right? Or sanitizing, because, I'm trying to, fit in and all that kind of thing. But in knowing your value, I just find so many people hiding. This is one of the, secret sauce with my resume writing is that I interview every single person for at least an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And I can't get over every single time I discover so many cool things about people that they've just buried. They bury the lead all the time. And I'm like, you're such a great person. This looks nothing like the piece of paper I'm holding right now.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of that? Like a just a specific?
Yeah, sure. So say a lot of times, candidates that have, more than 10 years experience, which that's not even much, right?
Yeah.
But, people with 30 years or more, they lob off, decades. And you don't have to list everything, but they lived other lives or other careers, and they could be super relevant or at a minimum just interesting, right? To round out the whole person and bring them into the team. And so I just, they just leave too much on the cutting room floor sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So when someone is crafting their resume, what are the primary things that should be included? What's best practices for crafting it?
Yeah. So, and I'll make this available to all your listeners. I have something called Resume Writing Roadmap, and it goes through everything. I mean, in minute detail. But this beginning part actually is what we were talking about is, deciding what actually does go into it in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, you're going to see jobs and titles and, what I did and all that kind of stuff. But the thing that people leave out the most, which is very, it's not helpful, right, to the reader, is that they don't actually say what they're going after. People don't put in the professional summary, and I get a tremendous amount of pushback on this, so much. But if you don't actually say what kind of role you're looking for, especially if you're trying to make a change, when a human is reading your resume, then you take 30 to 60 seconds. I know that's mind-boggling. Yeah. All it is. They're not going to take the time to figure your stuff out.
Right.
They're not.
Oh my God, that is so true.
Right?
Yeah.
So if it doesn't say it right at the top, they're over it. And a lot of people say to me, oh, that's really, pretentious, that's, I'm not there yet, maybe, the title's a little bit is like the next level kind of thing. Like, well, if you can't even say it, why would they give it to you?
Right. And that goes back to what you started by saying is it starts from getting centered and knowing your value and having the courage. What I'm hearing you correctly is having the courage to say, I'm a manager now. I'm looking to be, I don't know, whatever.
Senior manager, director,
whatever. And to be able to state that clearly.
Yeah.
And it's usually that sentence at the top of the resume, like there's a little box up there. Yeah,
Yes.
you're seeing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And your key skills. I mean, there's two real readers of the resume. There's the human, the one that you email it to or you sit across the desk or the video from, and then there's robots.
Mm-hmm.
The ATSs and the scanners, and they are looking for keywords. And if you don't hit the magic little words, your score, in the filter system, you get a lower score, and you don't get through.
So just like Google AdWords, if you don't put in for the right if they are bots scanning your resume, you need to have those keywords in there. Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that, for me anyway, really good tips. Is there something people should really focus on or highlight in a resume?
Yeah, so the thing that people tend to lose the plot to the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing besides saying, okay, here's the structure I'm going to do, it's going to be 1 or 2 pages, it's going to be chronological, it's going to be functional, or all these other things, what the font is, people get very excited about that, is around how am I going to tell my journey so that it makes sense quickly to other people, right? Mm-hmm. If you had a very straight line, I would say there's 2 kinds of careers. There's the straight line up the ladder. Someone could oh yeah, they went from associate to manager or director to VP, and now they're the big boss. Or the zigzag person, who was sales and then was marketing and was operations. You have to be able to get through that quickly. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't flow in the resume, don't expect someone else to put it together for you.
Right.
Because they won't. They're just going to pass on.
Do you recommend, somebody who's been in sales for decades but is really mm-hmm. trying to get into fashion or something, mm-hmm. they have 2 resumes to try and get the sales job, but to also be applying for, whatever their aspiration is? Sure.
It's good to have a couple of different, so my general take on resumes is that it's a tool. A lot of people feel like resume is, the hill you die on. and it makes your whole search. It doesn't. It's actually just one way to do it. So in this example, you still want to have your resume. You want to showcase that your sales and all your numbers and glorify that. And getting into fashion, and let's say, we're here in the New York area, right? So if you went to FIT, Fashion Institute, right, recently, you could really build on that, and you would do a portfolio. Mm-hmm. A lot of times a portfolio or another digital presence, in addition to, say, a cover letter or recommendation or client reviews, would help you get there. But I would still do that. And maybe your transition job, or your bridge job to get you there, if you're not fully being accepted, is selling fashion.
Right.
Get into a great house, get into a great brand.
Right.
Let them love you.
Right.
For selling, luxury goods or whatever's going on. And you're in. Yeah. And you can make relationships and connections. They'll see your work, your portfolio, and you can move on over.
Right. Yeah. And so to what you were saying about what to include, what not to include kind of a thing, there's a lot of, all over the internet kind of thing. So if someone is older, been recommended, you don't want to put that you are, 55 plus, because the bots will bump you out right away. Or if your experience goes too far. So should one temper a resume? Because at one point you said, if you have decades of experience, well, this you want to be highlighting, except that's also the reason why you don't get the calls, because they know you're going to cost too much or whatever their perceptions are. So how do you manage that, or what would you recommend?
It's very case by case based on goal, right? Like there are some careers and industries that value the seasoned, and I'm kind of making fun of that word,
Yeah.
The seasoned candidates, right? And myself included. I'm turning 50 on the 27th, so so I get it.
Birthday.
Thank you. And so there are some where you actually want to amp it up. And you want to be able to say, for example, like law. You want that person with the most experience. Consulting. You want that. That's what you're paying for.
Right.
My goodness.
That
right?
Is-
Yeah. Now, if you're switching careers, maybe you just want to truncate. You want to focus on what is relevant, right? To get in there. A lot of people, I'm from class of 94. Not all my cohorts list the year anymore. I get it. You don't have to. You're not obligated. You're not obligated, by the way, in any shape or form to provide anything you don't want to.
Right.
But there is a real line there of sometimes not providing enough.
Yeah. So is there any piece of advice you would give for women who are looking to transition careers or industries?
Mm-hmm. Don't give up before the miracle and start downplaying and, surrendering voluntarily to a lower level. It's definitely hard looking for jobs. It's always been hard looking for jobs. It's not the funnest task in the world, right? And it's completely filled with rejection. If you're not getting rejected, you're actually not searching.
Right.
Right. It's very much a sales job, selling yourself. And over the journey of getting rejected, it could feel personal. It could feel like you're doing something wrong. And so along the way, you start lowering your expectations, right? And then you end up in a job that you said yes to where, this isn't quite enough money. The title's the same as last time or lower, So I just want to encourage people that if you really know this is your rightful position, level, pay, so don't give up.
Okay. Well, I have found all of this really helpful. And I will say, I practically never had a resume. So that's why when people want me to look at it, I say I'm not the best person because it's just the way my career has run. Jobs have come to me. So I really never had to post anything. And if I went in, it was because I knew somebody or, I was just very fortunate. So I learned a ton here. Thank you very much. So
you are welcome.
You are. Well, thank you again. So again, just to remind you of Kelley's website is thetruthatwork.com. And I believe we are going to post links to the website, and you have
It's the resume writing roadmap.
There you
totally
go.
Free for you. Enjoy it. There's millions of people in the U.S., looking for resumes, and it's helpful. And also I offer a free consult, and you can talk to me by going to thetruthatwork.com/consult.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for that. And thank you for tuning in for this show, Your Voice, Women's Rights in the Workplace. And for more episodes, please check our website, womensrightsny.com. Till next time.